Hello there, Bick Benedict here. We're playing The Last of Us Remastered on grounded difficulty. This is my no damage guide and walkthrough. We're currently on chapter 4, and technically it's called Bill's Town, but this is Bick's Town. This is Buck's fucking town. This is Buckfucker's town. I kick ass in this town all day, every day. You understand that, motherfucker? That's what I said last time. But anyway, let's just head over here to the right and pick up some vitamins for ourselves. And this chapter is much longer than the last installment, and it's got that annoying hanging upside down sequence. And I also wanted to mention the little thread of conversation that I had at the last part of the video when I was mentioning the noun sirrah. Sirrah is a variant of the word sir, and it's very much obsolete / archaic. And I just wanted to actually mention the definition because it means it's a form of address that implies inferiority to the person whom you're talking to. So I try to refrain from calling people sirrah, knowing that, but since it's so archaic and old, people might not know what it means. But I try to not say sirrah because even if I know that the person, even if I suspect that the person might not know, I try to refrain from calling people sirrah because it is disrespectful. It's the type of word you would see in a Dickens novel or something like that. But anyway, here is the upgraded melee tool. Now, there is a glitch that you can use so that you can craft an infinite amount of shivs by alternating between the upgraded melee tool and the regular melee tool. What I'm given to understand is that by swapping from one to the other, specifically the lower one to the stronger one, the one with the scissors on them, that looks like it would hurt like holy fucking hell if you got hit with it. I mean, Jesus. But it's good. It's good for the clickers to hit these guys in the face. And let me talk about the glitch in a moment, but I first want to address this. There is a clicker in the shed to the left who somehow, even though he has ultra-sensitive hearing, doesn't hear me drop into this area. And if you want to, you can hit him with a brick, but I'm going to hit him with the upgraded melee tool. And invariably, well, not invariably, because there was one time when this guy didn't even hear me for some reason, so I had to come down, and it wasn't even until I came right up to him that he aggroed. But usually the disruption that you cause in the shed by killing the first clicker will almost inevitably cause the second clicker to aggro, and all of that for a quarter of a piece of a napkin or a bandage, however you want to think about it. I also do miss an item in here that I picked up afterwards. This footage here is not the footage that get the fuck out of my way, Ellie. If you do a 180 turn, there is I think there's a note by a desk over in that area, and there's also some scrap metal pieces, so you don't miss those, even though I did. Here's a shiv room door that I didn't get last time. Let's check out what we get. We get 10 vitamins, 5 more vitamins, 10 scrap metal pieces, and 2 bullets for our hunting rifle. So there is an edit right over here when we lift Ellie over the fence here, and post-edit, the footage that you're going to see is me having restarted the chapter and not using the upgraded melee tool. So I just want to be transparent about that because you might think later on when you see my melee tool, why does it have a different health integrity to it? Why does it have a couple of hits taken off of it? Why doesn't it when you just did that to the clickers? It's because I restarted the chapter and I thought twice about. I thought that the tool over here that Ellie just removed, and that we're going to cross over, I thought that was a duplicate one of the upgraded melee tool. So I thought that I could just use my upgraded melee tool on those clickers and then just replace it with the other one that we just passed over. But the one we just passed over is not an upgraded one. It's just a standard one without scissors at the end of it. So the only thing I wanted to be transparent about was that just the fact that it's different footage post getting into here and getting that checkpoint. Now, I'm going to upgrade a skill here for the weapon sway. Since I'm never going to be saving myself with a shiv by having been grabbed by a clicker, because I do think that means you've got damaged. None of the other skills personally appeal to me. Later on, I might upgrade the crafting speed, but for this run, the only thing that actually makes sense to upgrade at this point would be the weapon sway. I mean, crafting speed over weapon sway, I think it's pretty self-evident which you should upgrade, y'all. But I thought about it because I did. I have heard about that whole getting up. Let me just, okay, so as we loot the town, let me try to explain how I believe the infinite shiv glitch works. From what I understand, switching from a non-upgraded melee tool to an upgraded melee tool will necessarily put the materials that you need to craft a shiv into your inventory just by switching to it. And that will enable you to craft a shiv. And from what I understand, you can do that several times. Each time you switch from the lower, the less strong one to the stronger one with the scissors on it. Was I tempted to do that in my walkthrough? I would be a liar if I said that I was not tempted to do that in my walkthrough. I said, yeah, I might want to do that because I can get more shivs. But then I said, no, just no. I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable doing that, and I will not do it. I refuse to do it. And if I do it, then I'm going to delete the project, because why even do the project if I'm going to cheat like that? It's a gray line. It really is. It is. But what it reminds me of is doing that infinite node room switch in Dead Space. Dead Space 2, how it had that infinite node. There's an area where you can get an infinite amount of nodes, so that you can keep opening the node room doors and getting a whole bunch of shit for yourself in. By the way, the note that we just grabbed off that barrier had the combination for this safe, which I believe has a large amount of parts. Looks like it had some vitamins too. So, yeah. So I will never be doing that glitch to give myself any extra shivs than I deserve, because that's cheating and I don't feel comfortable doing it. There's a clicker getting destroyed by a nail bomb trap that Bill has laid out for folks like that to get blown up by. And I imagine that there would be a lot of people that wouldn't be uncomfortable by doing the shiv glitch, because let's face it, resources are so scarce on this difficulty that it might in fact not be possible to open all of the shiv doors with what you're given, even if you never use a shiv at all, as I intend to do. So there might be some justification for in some people's minds, and it even makes sense to me. If you guys can't even give me the resources to open every shiv room door, then and if I have to use a glitch to do it, then I might as well do it. But it's just it's not right. It's just not right, and I'm not doing it. I utterly refuse to do it. My walkthrough would be tainted, and I don't want to taint my walkthrough. So anyway, up ahead, we're going to be getting a new weapon. It's the bow. It's an invaluable tool. Anyway, and I remember when this game came out, my brother texting me and saying, because he was playing The Last of Us 2 back then, he was saying, I remember his exact quotation. It was, "Why is the bow such shit?" And I smacked my my palm against my forehead, and I was just, Jesus, you really don't know how valuable the bow is, dude. Are you not playing the game properly? Are you playing on easy or something? I'm just saying, like, how could you not know how valuable something like that would be in a game based on stealth? But anyway, suffice to say, and all disses aside to my brother, it's valuable. It's very good because you can silently kill enemies, and best case scenario, you can get your arrow back sometimes, as I believe happens up here quite often. So there's a clicker down there, and if you shoot him with an arrow, you can likely get your arrow back. There's a really good chance, and if you don't, it doesn't matter because you can just restart the checkpoint. The checkpoint is right before the clicker. And coming up, we've got a horrendous checkpoint. I mean, it is really, really bad. And bad enough, too, is the fact that it's an atypical situation. Oh, over here, this needs some explanation. There is see the door over there? There is actually an infected banging on a door up there, and he will come charging at you if you go into that house. And I watched my own guide last time, and in that house, all there is there's 5 vitamins. So do I want to risk the partial health integrity of my melee tool by and just to get 5 vitamins? No, it's not worth it. So in here, notice that we should have 12 revolver bullets, but this right here, exactly right there, that's your checkpoint over here. And the really hard part about this is that they force you to use the revolver. I believe, I'm almost positive that you have to use the revolver. And the thing about using the revolver is that reloading the gun only puts 1 bullet into the chamber. Now, the game does give you an infinite amount of ammunition. But to fully reload your gun, you have to press the R1 button 6 times or 5 times, however many times. 6 if you have an empty 6 empty chambers. So you're always in an extreme haste to keep reloading your gun, and try if you can, maybe try not to use this gun, but I think they force you to use it. The first infected comes from the left side, and then what you basically want to do is just continually get on enemies that are at the closest, like for the field of vision, the closest targets, shoot those first, and put in the background and put on the pretty much the back burner any enemies in the distance, because obviously it's the closest enemies that come to you that are the most dangerous, because this is not a matter of getting damaged. This is a matter of if anyone grabs you, it's over. And the fact that you have to wait every single fucking time for the whole lead up to this is god awful, and it's an example of a great developer putting a horrendous checkpoint into a game, because let's face it, this is really difficult. And it's difficult because of having to reload. See, you're going to be getting killed trying to reload the gun. So you've got to be really accurate and extremely conscious all the time of how frequently you have to reload. Now, an extremely purist run would think that if Ellie gets any damage on her, it's you would have to reset. But I'm sure it is possible to have her completely not ever get grabbed and have any ever threat over her where there's that part of the red circle coming up. But I am only concerned about my damage. Whether one of my teammates takes a hit, that's not any cause for concern about for me personally. I don't care about that. It's not my responsibility. Is it your responsibility, Sarah, to ensure that your teammate doesn't get damaged? Because that is a reflection of how well you're doing as far as your aiming. I understand that. But still, the section's hard enough and that checkpoint is horrendous. But once you get cut down by Bill, then you get a checkpoint. So notice that we had 12 rounds of the revolver pre hanging upside down section, and then coming off of that, we had 11, or we have 11. So we did have one bullet stolen from us, essentially. So now all you want to do is just really run through here quickly. There's a clicker right over here, right over there. See how they kind of just materialize into the environment? We were running so fast. In any case, guys, you're going to be safe pretty soon, right over here. And you may have noticed the length of this video. Why didn't I split it up into smaller segments? Well, quite honestly, if chapter 4 is 50 minutes or what have you, then by all means, let's just cover it. I personally don't mind rendering a larger file. We've got some pretty tricky encounters, though, coming up, quite honestly. There's a certain technique in gaming called kiting enemies, and that's what you're going to have to become skillful at doing, or at least adapt to it enough to get yourself through some of these encounters coming up, because a lot of these fights that are coming up, guys, they're unavoidable fights. So you can do stealth a little bit, but since all hell breaks loose, in any case, I really, I do stealth at a bare minimum, quite honestly. So take from that what you will, but I will say this: the relationship between Bill and Ellie is just priceless. He does not have a good way with kids, for sure. But this is okay. So the situation that's coming up now is something that's going to be replicated many times in this chapter, and there is more of an advantage for yourself and personally if when you get outside of this room, if you allow yourself to get killed once an initial time, then there's more of a tendency for clickers to get killed by the nail bomb that Bill has set outside in the parking lot over here. So there is actually a benefit for getting killed an initial time, because what I found was, and it's not restarting the checkpoint either. Now, see what happens here? I can't really tell exactly what happened, but it looked like there was about 3 enemies that got killed. So what I would recommend, honestly, is when you come out into this parking lot, let yourself get grabbed by someone and just let it time out and get yourself killed. And don't reset the checkpoint. Just let the death happen naturally, and then it's going to respawn you, not at the door exactly, but a little bit up, and the enemies are going to be in a state of aggro. So, but by all means, if you want to reset the checkpoint and start by the door, you can. It just puts you up a little bit more by that yellow fire hydrant, and now basically what you want to do is you want to try to use the melee function of what you have. If you have this weapon, you hopefully should, to use it to kill a clicker. It's an instant kill on a clicker. And what we're doing over here, this fight, this is going to be something that happens numerous times on this chapter. There's one section outside of the school where it's all runners. And then at the end of the video, when you're pushing the truck, it's runners and clickers. But the absolute beautiful thing about this game that is it's so unique in a survival horror game is that, and you already know this, having played it, is that there's no stamina gauge. So even though you're facing an enemy that's literally called a runner, and that's a fast enemy, he can never outrun you, and you can never lose stamina. So all you need to do on these situations is just kite enemies, go behind objects, isolate targets, and realize that when you're doing fisticuffs with enemies, the runners cannot counterattack you. However, sometimes, nice pair of scissors right there. I didn't notice that. the clickers, obviously you can't do punches. You can't just punch clickers, even with a brick sometimes. But if Bill has staggered a clicker, then you can go in for follow-up punches. But Bill is pretty self-sufficient. He's pretty self-sufficient in that regard. So that's what I really love about The Last of Us. And it's not just that you have an infinite amount of stamina. It's that you can run damn fast without penalty. And I think that it's just lame how survival horror games make you have a stamina gauge when this game shows you that you don't have to have one and still have it challenging and more importantly fair. None of the sections on this chapter I ever thought were unfair, even when I was struggling with them. And the hardest section on this chapter never took me more than an hour. I don't really. It's hard to say what would be the hardest section, but there you go. Bill the fucking Butcher, man. Did you see that beheading? Jesus. So you're going to have to get good with kiting enemies, running around kiting enemies, and realize sometimes the animation, the priority of the animations that you do can in fact get you killed. Because if Joel needs 6 punches to kill an enemy, well, if you're taking that many punches to kill an enemy, you're likely going to have other runners trying to grab you. And you, in large part, can't control how many number of punches. Like, say, for instance, you're running at a clicker and he just hits him twice and he's dead. You know, it all depends with how much damage Bill has done with an enemy, and that sort of thing. And if you're near a street post, you might be able to slam their head into it. It's the randomness of the game, but you have to realize. Here's a nail bomb, by the way. You have to realize, guys, that even though that it's a mashing fest, and it is, because enemies cannot counter you, you have to realize that you only have control of one enemy at any given time. Because if there are 2 enemies anywhere and you try to attack one, the other one's going to get in a hit on you. So that's what the bottom line is. Okay, so what upgrades are we going to do? We're going to use the holster upgrade to give ourselves extra holsters so that we can switch more promptly in combat. And I'm going to leave all of my upgrades on the screen each time that I upgrade. And at the current time, I've also have my skills. They haven't changed. I've only been able to upgrade one thing, and that is to decrease the sway. I'm almost, by the time this video ends, I will be close to being able to upgrade the sway for a second time. Okay, so now we're going to proceed up the stairs. The only other thing coming up is a room, a side room. I think it's technically Bill's room. So there should be something in there. Probably just some supplemental pills, quite honestly. But if memory serves, we're going to be doing the graveyard. And that parking lot section that we just did is great practice for what's going to be coming up after the graveyard. And I also know exactly where they checkpointed after the graveyard. So once you sneak past the clickers in this area and Bill unlocks the door for you, you don't get a checkpoint the second you leave the graveyard. So I will show you where you get a checkpoint. Alright, so now we're going to be heading on into the graveyard. Make sure, it's just so important to not get caught in checkpoints too with guns that need reloading. It's just, it can be a death sentence, and it could be such a setback for you. Okay, so now what we're going to be doing is just sneaking our way through the graveyard. It's very simple. I'm telling you, very simple. You don't have to engage with any of these enemies, but The next part is pretty damn tricky, and I do need to correct something. Remember in the first video when I said that after a group of enemies in a certain section has been dealt with, the last enemy that you do a brutal / loud takedown? Well, that doesn't always mean that it's a loud takedown. And what I mean to say about that is, how do I say this? If you're in a segregated area where clickers are out of range of hearing, or other enemies are out of far enough removed away from you, then his brutal takedown that he does by default, that doesn't mean that your cover is blown. So I'm going to show you guys the example of that after we leave this graveyard, but it's kind of rotten. The checkpointing in this game is it's just sheer stupidity, because once you leave this graveyard over here, you would think that the moment you enter the new zone you would get a checkpoint, but I consulted the menu and it just doesn't do that. So when do you get your checkpoint? Well, I misspoke before. I don't know exactly where they give you the checkpoint, but they do give you a checkpoint after you've taken out approximately, at the very least, 2 enemies. But it's going to be, you're going to be pretty much guaranteed to get a checkpoint if you just do exactly what I tell you. Okay, so also in this area there are some vitamins over here to the left that I think I missed last time. But this is very simple. This area, I mean, it's very easy. But once we leave this graveyard section, there's going to be stationary, a set of stationary runners to the right, and one stationary runner to the left. And since they're stationary, we can do, stealth kills without having to worry about them potentially seeing us. So Bill's going to open the door for us. Since this is his town, he's got all the keys. And I'm telling you guys, you don't get a checkpoint yet. But you don't have to do this entire area. So what we're going to do is just, go up to them at normal speed. Bill will synchronize with you so that he kills one of them. I don't think you get a checkpoint quite yet. What you want to do is you at least want to take care of this guy, since we're going to be running around doing a lot of combat. See that? The brutal loud takedown. Well, was our cover blown? It wasn't. No, because we were actually isolated from other enemies. Unless, yeah. Well, the cover is not blown. Trust me, the cover is not blown, guys. What happened there is my footsteps probably betrayed my position there. I think I was moving too quickly. But this is exactly what we did before in the parking lot. But now you have a lot more freedom to move around, because this area is a wide open area. And what you want to do is try to in all instances in this game, just try your absolute best to refrain from using stuff if you can. And the great thing about you can just run around here as fast as you want, wreaking holy hell on everybody with your fists, and they can't do anything about it. So I don't believe that you can. Well, you probably could. You probably could stealth this, but there is a rotten thing that they do after this, and I'll tell you exactly what it is. We're probably not going to get away with this. Since this, yeah, our cover's blown. Just see this? I'm using my bare hands on a clicker. It's because I staggered him with that melee tool at first. So just help out Bill or Ellie anytime they need your help. And that may be a cleared area. It just may be. But it's always a wise idea to pick up a brick or a bottle, preferably a brick. Like you always want a brick over a bottle. Yeah, one guy left. He's down there. So all we need to do is just throw this at him and stagger him. And even if we didn't have a bottle, damn, this game is it's just so visceral. You're going to be dealing with tons of people running up to you. As long as you mash square and you're isolated with these folks, they can't do anything to you. It's only when you aren't too aware of other enemies nearby that that you can get overwhelmed, because you don't want to forget the really important fact of backing off when you need to. So that's a bow. Okay, I thought that was an arrow that the game wasn't letting me pick up. But the rotten thing is that you don't get a checkpoint yet. So how hard is it to get the next checkpoint? It's very easy, but you need to be careful. And what I really hate, because this there's the area that we're going to be going to. It's going to be, see, I don't understand this game. I can guarantee, guys, they don't give you a checkpoint over here. I can just absolutely guarantee, because I failed to this over here. So we're just going to be, and it's not hard, but just be aware that you're going to lose a lot of progress, because all of that stuff that we just did, it'll mean nothing if you mess up over here. My good sir, Buck Benedict, I'm a little bit worried that I might mess up things for myself in. Ought I need to be worried? No, dude. You don't need to be worried. As long as you don't mess your movement speed up over here, nothing's going to happen to you. So, in this house, I believe there are 2 stationary clickers, just as there are 2 stationary clickers outside of the house. And this house has nothing in the kitchen over to the right. But believe me, guys, we haven't had a checkpoint for about 4 minutes. That little edit right there that you just saw, that was me consulting the menu, and I had to edit that out. Okay, so now come on over here. And there should be something in one of these rooms over here to the left. There's a clicker to the right, I believe. Okay. There's a washer and a dryer in here. Some spare parts. Okay. So, anyway, just be careful as you come out of here. And by this time, you should be getting the checkpoint. But I'm going to make sure that I get up here safely. Okay, we're all good. And it may not be here that you get the checkpoint, but I can guarantee that right down here, that's the checkpoint. Okay, so just pivot around right over here. Grab the vitamins for yourself, and then we're going to be sprinting on into this house. And coming up here, there should be some pretty good shit for us. There we go. Piece of a cloth. Some vitamins, and that's it. I'm not going to be going in the room that has the comic book. All right, nice. There's an arrow. Okay, now this part is goddamn fun. I love this part, but I will tell you something. It's hard. It's really hard, and this is kiting 101, guys. And what's going to happen is there's going to be a whole bunch of clickers, or excuse me, a whole bunch of runners. It's just runners. It's just runners. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start off noisy, because this is just going to escalate into a fight no matter which way you do it. And what you want to make sure is that try at all times to have God, this game is just so fucking brutal and gorgeous. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love that there's no stamina too. It's so great. It gives you so much liberty with so much, like, even with unlimited stamina, this is still goddamn hard. It really is hard. Now, is it hard to just defeat? No, it's not that, but to not take a single hit over here, that's challenging. I mean, there was one time I clipped on a bush over here. It's just absolutely horrible. But see this? See the punching match there? It can get up to like 5 to 6 punches that you need to take care of some folks with. Sometimes if you're coming at someone with full sprint, it's like 1 to 2 hits, but you have to always be aware that since these guys don't counter, oftentimes the punching matches can get up there in number. I love kicking people off. Kicking them off is an instant death too. Okay, so once the first wave is done, you want to come up to about here, double back because that's a tripwire point, and then here's the next spawn. There is actually a UPS sort of truck past the tripwire point and over to the left that I went on, and you can't get snuck up on over there, but I never had any good luck on that, because the thing about it is there's a chance to get overrun, and you always want to have a bottle on hand. Because what happens with the bottle, you're not using the bottle to kill enemies because you don't need that. But did you see what happened right there? I was doing a punching match with one person, and then I saw another person coming up right there. You have to back off or they're going to hit you, because you can't take care of 2 people at the same time. It just doesn't work. They're going to get hits in on you. So this one actually quite smoothly, but I was getting frustrated over here because of people hitting me. God, it's so fun. I'm telling you guys, it's so goddamn fun. But the reason you want a bottle is that your teammates can get grabbed. And I have failed many times to teammates. I can't get to my teammates. But it doesn't happen that often because they're not a burden. They really aren't. They're self-sufficient. And these scenarios are they're fair. They're fair. Nothing in this chapter was unfair. Now that doesn't mean to say there's no bullshit going on, because there is. I mean, this next section's tough. It is, and the thing about it also is that we cleared a whole area without a checkpoint. And I almost got grabbed over here, and I'm almost positive that they don't give you a checkpoint. So these fucking people with the checkpoints, I don't understand how a team can be so smart about a game and be so obtuse about making checkpoints in a proper way. There's that UPS truck over there to the left. So you should get a checkpoint the second you drop down here. And it may be an illusion about getting grabbed, because there's a chance that you can be in, like, there's no threat. It's just the danger of it. But the thing is, I need Bill to open the window, I'm pretty sure. And, what if, God forbid, I clip against Bill or something? I'm trying to get up here. I've clipped against Bill before. And, Ellie, I could have clipped against Ellie. Look at that. And the thing is, if I had got grabbed there, I might have had to restart that whole parking lot scene. Okay, this is hard. This is really hard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sacrifice a few arrows in the name of saving Molotovs. And you have to be aware, guys, that you're going to be doing a boss fight in the next area. So the more things like Molotovs that you use in this area, the less obviously you'll have for the bloater boss fight. So I'm going to take care of... fuck, I missed. It actually turned out okay, though, because I got one of my arrows back. See that? We're down to 2, but the thing of it is that the game gave me back one of my arrows. Okay, there's also a clicker up there, and he actually just kind of flops onto the ground. He's I think he gave me my arrow back. And when I mean that they gave me my arrow back, I just it just means that you know, you can kind of justify to yourself mentally that, and I got another one back too, so that was okay in my opinion. And this is all just, it's all classic. Okay, so we're down to 1 arrow, but there should be some pickups over here, so that's 2, and then there should also be another one over here somewhere as well. So okay, so when you come in here, you need to be aware that you're going to have enemies coming over here. There's an energy bar right over here, so that it does say that my HP is full, just to confirm that with you guys, so you know that I'm not cheating in any way. But this is, like I said, it's just kiting 101, guys. There's plenty of bottles and bricks around to throw, and if you have to, repose on Bill. Really, I'm seriously, lean on Bill if need be. And I'm telling you guys, on Grounded, anytime there's a just try not to use things. Like sometimes using things, like you just kind of have to. You kind of cave, you know. But see, my justification. Well, you might think you used a lot of arrows, dude. You're down to 2. I know there's another one over here I'm going to be picking up in a moment, but did I use a bullet? Did I use a Molotov? Did I use a nail bomb? No, I didn't use any of those things. So in my mind, that's okay. Since I was able to save on that score, even though I had to waste something else. But just try to, I mean, even if you're not even doing this no damage, you have to be extremely cautious about what you use, because you simply do not get very much at all. Okay, so bloater boss fight. What I don't like about this bloater boss fight has nothing to do with the boss fight. It's a good boss fight. The thing that I loathe about the boss fight is that for someone doing a no damage run, it's very difficult to ascertain in the heat of the moment whether or not you're taking damage. I backed off from that clicker. The game allowed me a hit. God damn, the Bill is useful, man. He's useful. There's also 3 more runners over here as well, and of course you don't get a checkpoint. For someone doing a no damage walkthrough, the bloater boss fight is annoying because it's very difficult to ascertain, like I was going to say, in the heat of the moment during all the chaos, because these bloaters, they throw these projectiles at you that are pollen spores, and it's sometimes it's hard to it's kind of hard to ascertain whether you've taken a little bit of chip damage. So what I didn't want to have happen was I didn't want to receive some sort of chip damage that I could hardly tell that I had received damage for. And then perhaps, say for instance, worst case scenario, I defeat the bloater. I took like a little sliver of damage that I wasn't conscious of during the fight, or maybe that wasn't properly shown that I actually took damage. Maybe the screen didn't have any sort of indication that I was receiving damage because the damage is so passive in these pollen spore areas. So what if I defeated the bloater and then I realized that I had taken a little bit of chip damage because mayhap I come across an energy bar later and it doesn't say full. That means that I've taken damage, so I have to restart the whole town. Even though this is my fucking town, I'll have to restart it. So I can guarantee that I did not take damage over here, and I have no idea how I was so successful at killing this bloater with just 1 Molotov, but that's all I had to throw at this guy. And the stupidity of this fight, besides not getting a checkpoint post-bloater death, is that 2 fucking lackeys spawn with this guy. So what's going to happen is he's going to immediately throw a pollen spore at you, so you want to sprint away quickly, and I mean quickly. Get out of the way of it. And then what I'm trying to have for myself is I want to throw it at this guy, and I want the lackeys to get a little bit of fire damage for themselves. And did it work? I really can't tell, but it's inarguable that it wasn't successful. I think also this shot that Bill did over here, Bill must have done something. Bloater's dead. How in God's name did he die so fast? I couldn't tell you. Was I happy that he did? Was I happy to hear Bill say Bloater's gone or Bloater's finished off? Hell yeah. That's a done fight. But I was worried in the back of my mind. Did I take damage? Did I take a little bit of passive damage? I don't want to craft a med kit unnecessarily if I don't have to, just to see whether or not I have to heal. Okay. Make sure that you investigate the side of the bloater's body. It should be giving you a drop. Notice that I didn't pick it up, but I'm going to go over there in a moment, I believe. And to my knowledge, it just gives you shotgun shells. So why does this happen? They don't give you a checkpoint, and now you've got to do some more kiting of enemies, and you can't get yourself pulled up. So there's at least 3 enemies over here that you've got to kite around the room, and good luck. But I'm not saying that and not throwing you any sort of good vibes, because this is something that you should have been. If you've been able to get here without getting damaged so far, you've had sufficient practice with kiting enemies. As long as you hold the R1 button, they can never catch up to you, and that's the beautiful thing about this game. But I don't think that there are any bottles over here. So and you could do a punching match with this guy. There you go. Okay, cleared room. There's one. Hopefully I pick up those bullets over here. There we go. Okay, now you get a checkpoint. So you've got to kill the bloater. What I think it was the last time I did the bloater fight, I noticed that I didn't have the bottle hit him. So I think having the bottle hit him and it consuming him. Here's your checkpoint, by the way. So feel free to be as reckless as you need be over here. Fuck, I love this game. But sheer stupidity, and you've got a bad checkpoint coming up over here too as well. But you don't have an unfair situation, although it might seem to you like it, but it isn't unfair. Okay, so now we're going to be in the garage. There's some bullets right over there. I picked those up so quickly you might not have been able to tell what those were. That was 4 shotgun shells. Okay, some vitamins over here. There's a note from Bill's lover over here, and then some half of a bandage, or excuse me, half of a binding. Okay, see that table? If you doubted whether or not I took damage on the bloater fight, rewind that footage, because there was an energy bar on the table over there that when I hovered over it, it said full. So my HP was at full, so I did not take any damage over there. I was really relieved to see that, actually, because I honestly couldn't tell if I had taken damage there, even looking back at it, because maybe I ran through the spores a little bit when they were dissipating. Maybe I took a little bit of chip damage, So technically, I didn't. I wouldn't have done the fight no damage. But seeing that energy bar and having it say full there means that you haven't taken damage. Okay, now it's just the same old, guys. But the music over here is so intense and wonderful over here. There's going to be 3 phases over here. Unfortunately, before you get into this zone, you're going to have to grab all of the supplies in the house, as well as push the truck out of the garage. And there aren't too many bricks over here. There's at least 2 bricks and 1 bottle, and that should probably be enough for you. But There's a lot of instances. See, this in less capable hands, this situation could have been a fucking nightmare, an unfair piece of dog shit fight. And what happens is, if you don't kill a wave quickly enough, what's going to happen is the game is going to perpetually spawn in just one enemy, and it's going to be a runner that just attacks the truck. So worst case scenario is you have one enemy left, and then you've got one enemy running at the truck to grab Ellie. But this is very difficult. Actually, it's not that difficult, but it's fun, though. It's fun and fair. The only thing that's a little annoying about it is that bad checkpoint. But here's the second wave. And did I ever die to one of my teammates failing over here? No. It was all my mistakes. So what you need to do is just be conscious of what Bill's doing, how he's handling the thing. If he's preoccupied with an enemy, and there's another enemy, pretty nearby, just it's a judgment call on your part, because maybe the enemy that Bill's struggling with might break free and come after you. So just keep distance between yourself. Okay, anytime you see L3, that means the truck is being attacked, but you have plenty of time to run over to it. For all of Naughty Dog's transgressions, in my opinion, about the checkpoint removal, bravo to this fight, because this could have been extremely frustrating. It could have been so much worse, but it's goddamn fair. Okay, there's the runner that the game spawned in. Big deal? No. Bill's taking care of the clicker. All I have to do is just run up to the runner and spam square. How is that unfair? And Bill's capable. He's very capable. Alright, are we on wave 3 yet? Alright, wave 3. You're probably going to see me running around like a madman, and I think I also may have had to use the gun over here at one point, because I'm running around like a madman trying to find a brick or a bottle. Not only is it a good habit to have that in your inventory, but just in case I need to throw from range, And see that again, just back off. If you're engaging with one enemy and anyone else is even close, just stop. And when you do stop, you're vulnerable, so you've got to also account for that. There should be a bottle over here. All right, let's grab the bottle. If you don't want to hit with the bottle, just switch to the gun, and then he won't hit with the bottle. You'll save the bottle. But Pittsburgh's our next stop, and honestly, I haven't done it yet, so I can't say if it's... See, this was a challenging stage. It was. Back off. But I hope that I've helped you. I hope that I've at least shown you that, these situations, even though they're difficult, they aren't. And that's the most crucial thing, If something isn't fair, if something is bullshit, the person's not going to have fun. A game, what happened over here? These guys got an animation staggers over here, so I didn't know what to do. So I used one of my shotgun rounds. Unfortunate, really unfortunate. I do want to mention, I did have a muse on this guide named The Godfather Dictator. He did a live run for grounded difficulty 3 years ago, and when I was watching his guide, I really wanted to follow suit, but I think I was doing something else. I think I was also dealing with a family emergency back then too, so I think I was really busy, but I did want to mention his name because I was really inspired back then. He did it 3 years ago. He did a no damage grounded run where he did it live. I think without even dying either or resetting. So I did want to mention him, and he's on my suggested channels if you want to check out his run. It's very entertaining. The reason I just got reminded of him though was when we were doing that fight in the parking lot outside of the school. One of the clickers had glitched into the bus, and he got really frustrated, and it was really funny. It was like the last, or excuse me, it was a runner. The runner like went into a bus and kind of got caught in it, like those enemies just got caught in those animation staggers. So, but definitely, yeah, check out his guide. There's a lot of grounded no damage guides on this platform because it's something that you can actually do, and it's a game that accommodates it very nicely. So those are always the things that really spark my interest personally. Is if it's a well-made game, so well that it's not something that only somebody with an incredible amount of skills needs to do, then I don't know. Shucks, man. I've lost my train of thought. I'll see you kind folks over to Pittsburgh.